Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now today in this vlog I'm going to inshallah try to keep it brief and answer the topic of racism, the topic of if one particular race or one particular gender can be superior than the other. And I'm going to do this not from my own opinion, but rather from the prescription or the instruction manual that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, which is the Quran, the very verbatim word of God. Now, from the very beginning, if you've watched any of my videos in the past, I've always established, first of all, that Islam is the religion or the way, the complete way of life that was given to us, to mankind, from the very beginning of creation. So from the beginning of the creation of Adam up until the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they were all Muslims and they all submitted to Al-Islam. Now the word Islam and the word Muslim, these are Arabic words, and all they mean is Islam is the submission to God's divine rules, and a Muslim is someone that submits to the Creator, Allah, to His divine rules, which is the Sharia Islamiyah, which is basically the complete way of life. It's not just basically just worshipping the Creator and or our relationship between us and the Creator, but also our duties and our obligations and our purpose in life while we're here on planet Earth, basically. Okay, so this we need to establish. So all the prophets that came from the very beginning of time, so Adam, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Ismail, Musa, Jesus, peace and blessings be upon them all, up until Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they were all calling to one message, which is La ilaha illallah, and to believe in previous prophets and the messenger that came. So at the time of Moses, he said to tell his followers to declare or make the declaration of faith, which is to worship only one one God, which is Allah, and also to believe in Him. So they would have said La ilaha illallah Musa Rasulullah. So these were the Bani Israel, the people that followed Moses, and they were called to Al-Islam. But Moses also called Pharaoh to Islam, to submit and to repent for his sins. However, he was arrogant and he said there is no God but me and all that stuff, and of course he was then destroyed, and Allah preserved his body as a sign for all of us to see what has become of the tyrants or the people that have gone against the will of God at the end. And amongst the believers from the non-Bani Israel, so the non-Jews, were the wife of Pharaoh. She became a Muslim at the time, and of course she was tortured and killed by Pharaoh, and also many others had become Muslims from the Egyptians, amongst them the magicians, that once they witnessed the miracles from Moses, they also submitted to Al-Islam, and they've said we believe in the God of Moses, which is Allah, and also the servant amongst them, the servant of the daughter of Pharaoh, and she was also tortured, and all her children, she had 5 sons, one of them was an infant. They threw them all in boiling oil in front of her eyes, and eventually they also killed her as well for not going back on her declaration of becoming a Muslim at the time. So Muslims have gone through all sorts of persecutions, from amongst them obviously the Bani Israel. They've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. The ones that have held firm on their belief of Islam, they've prospered, and from the people that have passed away, they're all inshallah in Jannah. And those who rebelled and have become racist, and they've created a cult, a terrorist cult known as Zionism. The founder himself was a self-proclaimed atheist, and they've hijacked the race Jews. This is a race just like an Arab is a race, Chinese or Indian. This is a race, it's not a religion. So they've basically hijacked that particular community, and they've said that we're taking that cause forward. We're trying to establish a home for just exclusively for the Jews. It's like basically saying, I'm going to take a country, invade a country, and just create it only for white people, or whites with blue eyes and blonde hair. And this country is only for the whites and with blue eyes and blonde hair. It's completely ridiculous, and it's completely racism, and this is the same ideology as the Nazis. The Nazis also have the same thought of just creating a superior race. So all these people out there, they're saying, we're the chosen people, we're a special race. We need to understand exactly what they mean about that, and the meaning of racism. But what does Allah say about this? What does Allah tell us about all this? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to play verse from the Quran. This is from Surah Al-Hujraat, which is Surah 49, and I think it's I believe it's verse 13. So let's just hear what it says. Hopefully it will come out clearly in the audio, and then we can discuss it a little bit further, and then answer the question whether a woman can be superior than a man, or a man can be superior than a woman, or one particular race can be superior than another particular race. Okay. Okay, so the verse reads as this. I'm going to translate it into English. All mankind, or all humanity, indeed we created you from a male and a female, and made you into peoples and tribes, so that you may get to know one another. Surely the most noble of you, or the best of you, is in the sight of Allah, the sight of the Creator. Okay, is the most righteous, is the most the most who is in piety, the most righteous amongst you. Truly, yes, I go back. Truly, okay, and then after that it says the most righteous, and Allah has full knowledge and well acquainted with all things. Okay, so this is one of the translations. There are many translations in English, of course. The original. The Quran is in Arabic. It was revealed in the Arabic language, just like the Torah was, revealed in the ancient language as well. But what in the Quran, it always shows you the Arabic, and then you have interpretations, translations, and that translations can be varied. But this is what it means. So the best of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous, the best in piety, the best who serve others, fulfills their obligations. So indeed, we can see from this verse that a woman, for example, can be superior than a man. And a man can be superior than a woman. A black man can be superior than a white man. Yeah, and a Chinese can be superior than a black man. But in which case can this be true? When is this valid? Is when the woman is more pious than the man. Okay, so if she's more knowledgeable, serves the community, she serves her purpose in her life, then she is superior in the sight of Allah than a man who is completely arrogant, ignorant, does nothing, and so on. So a woman who goes out, strives for Fisabilillah, and she's a doctor, and she saves people, serves the community as a doctor, is far better and far superior and far higher rank than a man who sits at home, watches telly, wastes his time, plays video games, completely ignorant, doesn't pray, doesn't fast, doesn't do all these things. So the woman in that case, so she serves the community, she prays, she fulfills her obligations, and she knows her purpose in life, and so on. So the blind is not equal than the one who sees. So when Allah bless someone with eyesight and they can see, and he can recognize certain signs, is far better than someone who's like not blind as in like, they're blind, they can't see things, but intelligently blind, ignorant in his mind. And I speak to so many people, and ask them the simple question: what is your purpose in life? Why do you believe that God created you? For what purpose? And there are people out there, they give me some really trivial, very ignorant answers to this, and they say, well, we're here just to enjoy ourselves. We're here to be happy. You can be happy. There's nothing wrong with being. I'm not telling you to be sad in life. Obviously, you should be happy, and you should never go through depression or anything like that. This is absolutely correct. But God did not create you just to sit here and do nothing. So, well, and they're kind of like astonished when I ask them this question. They say, well, I said, what are you planning to do in your life? They said, well, how are you going to be happy? And they say, well, we're going to eat, we're going to sleep, we're going to relax, we're going to, get entertained. And they tell me all these things, and I tell them, well, we become parents, and become mother or father. So that's what if the woman, she says, well, to get married and have children, and the man says, well, I need to, obviously I eat, I sleep, and I gotta get married, I have children, and they grow up, and then and they get some education, do whatever, and all that stuff, and then we die until I die. So they don't have a really clear vision of their purpose, why Allah created the woman, why he created the man, what's the purpose on earth, whatever. So they just think, well, our purpose is just basically to procreate, eat, sleep, procreate, and then die. And I try to reason with them and say to them, well, what's the difference between a human and an animal? And animals eat, they sleep, they have sex, they have children, what's the difference? And I get certain strange answers, especially from those who don't really reflect on their purpose in life. They say, well, animals, they're like a cow, whatever, we slaughter the cow, we eat the cow, but a human, you don't eat humans. Well, that's completely incorrect, because there's some people that eat humans, cannibals, and so that's not a really good argument. So I think Allah created us for a greater purpose. He gave us intellect, he gave us free will, he gave us guidance, knowledge. And the first verse that came in the Quran is read. The very first encounter with Angel Gabriel, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Angel Gabriel came to him, he told him, read, recite, proclaim, teach, study, learn, reflect. Very so many verses in the Quran asks us to reflect on things. Look at the bird, look how it flaps its wings, look what's holding it up. Think about these things. It tells us about the oceans. It tells us about embryological development in the womb, when the baby's born. All this information and all these stories, they all have a lesson, and they have a purpose for us to learn from. So we have to learn from these lessons and this knowledge that's given to us from the Creator, Allah, and really try to apply it in our lives. So each person needs to search for what is it they're passionate about, and then serve in what they enjoy, and start thinking to them amongst themselves, and really try to identify what is it that I want to do. How can I fulfill my obligations? How can I serve others? Some of us might be talented in technology, some of us might be talented in medicine, some of us might be talented in various other areas, but we have to identify the areas that we can, or our certain skills, skill sets that we want to develop while we're here, and how this particular skill set can serve others. We need to stop thinking about ourselves and our entertainments. We have a greater purpose in life than just sitting in front of a TV watching the latest movie. I've had so many different arguments with very people close to me, and they always, I said, what do you look forward in life? I mean, what do you plan, after 1 year, what's your plan, what you're looking forward to in 1 year? And I get really very immature answers. I mean, the latest iPhone, or they're planning to go on a holiday and all that stuff. they don't start thinking deeply about their real purpose. Allah didn't create them here to just for entertainment. He didn't create us just for fun. He created us for a particular specific purpose. Okay, just like you have different tools, you create different tools or use different tools for a particular purpose. You created a hammer, for a purpose. You created a screwdriver for a purpose. Okay, I'm not comparing humans to screwdrivers, but what I am saying that Allah created us for a purpose. We need to identify and what that purpose is after we have become, obviously, submitted our will to Creator, and say, now at this point, say, okay, what do I do in my life? How can I gather knowledge about a specific area? How can I learn more about my religion? And not only learn about my religion, this is the spiritual knowledge, or or our manuscript to, how we can live our life successfully. But also I need to identify what is it that I want to do in my life. So if I want to become a computer scientist, how is my knowledge in computer science, can that benefit mankind? Okay, what can I contribute? Okay, because what we leave behind is what's going to add to our good deeds when we leave this dunya. When we leave this world, how are we going to gain more good deeds is what we leave behind in knowledge, in good deeds, how we benefit others. When people remember us in good things and make supplication for us that Allah has mercy on us and so on. That is what we have to do. Okay, so I encourage each one that watches this video need to basically just take 5 minutes out of your life and just sit down and say, okay, what do I want to do in this life, and what I'm planning to do in this life, how is that going to benefit others? Okay, so this is what you should ask yourself. Don't start putting your objective as in you want to buy a Bugatti or a Ferrari, or have a house with a swimming pool, because all these materialistic things, you're not going to take it with you when you die. It's far better for you if you make your objectives to make £1 million or £10 million or £100 million or even £1 billion. Build a business. I'm not telling you not to make money, not to succeed in that sense, but succeed for a greater purpose. Like, okay, I want to establish schools in poor areas. I want to be able to have enough financial independence that I can travel to third world countries and give out my free time to help others, teach others certain skills, teach others how to set up a business for free, not for financial gain. How can I become a doctor and discover a cure for a particular thing, and then I can donate my time and my knowledge for helping people out that are suffering from a particular disease, or or any other elements that they might be going through, or any sort of suffering. So how can you contribute to the world? And then once you leave this dunya, this is your sadaqah jariyah, this is your perpetual charity. Okay, I don't like talking about myself and what I'm doing in my life, because I don't want to anyone to look at me in any special way. But there are certain things I participate in, certain things that certain topics I'm more concerned about, certain like orphans and education and things like that, and refugees and that kind of stuff. So all these things concern me. Poverty as well, how to teach people certain things that can get them out of poverty. These sort of things, these are personal things that I'm concerned about. Establishing a mosque or a community center, that kind of stuff, education hubs. These things concern me. Okay, and obviously standing up for justice. And then I also have to add, sometimes silence is betrayal, and unfortunately, I have to tell you that there are a lot of injustice that goes around in the world, and some Muslims, I have to speak of my own community first, they don't stand up for justice, or they don't stand up against injustice. So they remain silent because they are worried about their financial or their income or their employment. So they usually just shut up and they just stay silent, and they watch injustices that go on around the world. They don't speak up against, for example, what the terrorists in the occupied Palestine at the moment, and they're claiming it as their land and there's their birthright, and making fake historical claims, which is completely false, and they're racist. They're an apartheid state, and obviously everyone else is silent because they're worried about their position, and they're concerned about their family. They're concerned about their life. And I have to tell you that you shouldn't be fearing everything. You should fear the Creator. Allah created everyone. Allah has control over it. So no harm will come to you unless it's written for you, and no good, no matter even if you're in a castle, a palace, and you've got all these guards around, nothing can protect you against death. Everyone will die. So why are you afraid of that? Why are you afraid of other creations? Why are you not afraid of the Creator? Why don't you recognize the Creator? He's the one that provides you with sustenance. He's the one that provides you with wealth. He's the one that can make you rich and poor. He's the one that makes you, he can make you sick and make you well. He can cure you. So you need to identify that. You need to recognize, all these things, and really try to deeply understand it, and not live a double standard in your life, or become hypocrites, or be silent against injustice. So I encourage every single individual, it doesn't matter, as long as you're a decent human being, it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or not, every decent human being should stand up against the injustice that goes on in Palestine, or injustice that goes on anywhere in the world. Do not discriminate. Do not pick and choose a particular race. Do not favor certain groups of people, or say that I'm against a war in, say, Ukraine or whatever, because they have blonde hair and blue eyes. This is a racist comment. You should be just across all boards. So just stand up for injustice that wherever it may be. Okay, so the topic today was just about, I've kind of deviated slightly, but I'm trying to give you as much. When I try to speak, I try to give as much, because I don't know the level of the viewers, so I'm trying to give as much as I can. But you need to get back to that. And as you can see from the verse I shared with you, again I repeat it: all mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know each other. So this is why Allah created us so diverse. He created white, blacks, Chinese and Indians and whatever. He created us so we can recognize each other. Each of us has certain traits and attributes, certain skills, so they can contribute. Each person of us can be beneficial in a certain way. And then verily, he says to us, very the most honored of you, the best of you, okay, in the sight of Allah is he who is the most righteous of you. So the most righteous of you are the best of you. So this is how you raise a rank above the others, through your education, through what you contribute to others, through how you are pious, more righteous. You do good and you write the good deeds. You stand up for injustice, stand up against injustice. Okay, you're honest, you're sincere. You are, a good person, a good human being in life, okay? And then he says, Allah has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. Okay, so always remember that. Always try to understand this. Racism has no place in Islam. Okay, we can't curse. Obviously, people that claim they're Jews and they're doing a lot of, corruption and mischief and terrorist actions against the Palestinians. But we can't be racist and stereotype and say it's the Jews. So we can't curse the Jews. We can curse, by all means. You can curse the Zionism, because Zionism is a satanic cult. It's a terrorist organization. It's a fake. It has no place in this world. Okay. So we all should stand up against the Zionist Nazis groups and fascists and all these certain groups that are all one. All these racist, the Ku Klux Klan, whatever. All these things are one group of people who follow the plan of Satan, and we need to. These are the enemies of Allah, and we should all stand up against it. We should all speak up against it. Those who can fight them should fight them. Anyone that has that opportunity should, fight for that cause and against them, to eradicate them from this whole planet, not just in Palestine. You should fight them everywhere, anywhere and everywhere, because these are the terrorists. These people are here only just to fulfill the plans of the Dajjal, the Antichrist, and they are serving only none other but than Satan. Satan is their Lord. Okay, even the founder himself was a Satanist. He was an atheist, and he's not a decent human being. Anyone that follows them, they have to abandon it, and they should turn back to Allah, turn back to the Holy Scriptures. If they're a Jew, if they turn back to the Torah, eventually that will lead them to Islam, inshallah, as well, because I've spent some time when I was a teenager looking into all these scriptures, and they all point to one message. And like I said before, from the very beginning of creation, it was always Islam. It was always submission to the will of Allah. It was always that case. Okay, inshallah I will make other videos, but like I said, I want to keep this short, and now it's about 25 minutes or so. So inshallah I'll close here, and look forward to speaking to you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.